welcome back. Snurdly, in light of everything that's going on, I thought I saw a man brought to life. He was warm. He came around like he was dignified. He showed me what it was to cry. Well, you couldn't be that man I adored. Snurdly, he couldn't. You don't seem to know, don't seem to care what your heart is for. No, I don't know him anymore. There's nothing where we used to lie. Conversation has run dry. That's what's going on. Nothing's fine. Snurdly, I'm torn. I'm all out of faith. This is how I feel. I'm cold and I am shamed, lying naked on the floor. Illusion never changed into something real. I'm wide awake and I can see. Snurdly, the perfect sky is torn. You're a little late. I'm already torn. We'll be right back on the EIB network.
1059, The Cat.
Politics, 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 politics.
Politics. Everybody, do the politics. Do the politics dance. Do the politics. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell is happening? What? I had a show ready. And then all of a sudden, oh, shit. It came over my alerts. In fact, no, you want to know what? I didn't even get it on the alerts. I got it on text message or Facebook message from Guts and Glory, my partners on the Contender. And they were like, oh, what does Trump have to gain from firing Comey? I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about, man? Firing Comey. Why would he fire Comey? It's just like they're very far left, and so I don't know. Is this something that y'all read in one of these crazy liberal blogs? Was it in Jacobin, the Jacobin Quarterly? Jacobin's pretty. I don't know. I like reading Jacobin. No, it was real, folks. Donald Trump fired James Comey. That's actually a thing that happened. Okay, how do we want to peel this banana? Let's go ahead and before we get into everything that will come about from this, what it means, what matters, what doesn't, let's understand who FBI Director James Comey is. Here are a couple things that I think are fairly beyond debate. If you are going to be an FBI director, you need to understand a few things. A lot of FBI people, a lot of law enforcement people in general, are not liberal. They're more conservative. Police officers are more conservative. Many of the best police officers wind up becoming Federal Bureau of Investigations officers, and that's just what that is, right? So you have to understand that the feeder system that gets you to be at the head of that organization, A, requires a little bit of bureaucratic, departmental ass-kissing, but also if you're going to play in the trade winds of the big leagues and you're going to be the director of that entire organization, that you have to play, well, politics. You normally, especially if you're going to survive between two different, survive between two different sides, you know, if you're going to serve for Obama and you're going to serve for Trump, right? You have to understand that there is some political maneuvering that you have to do. James Comey came onto the lips of mainstream political America this summer, and probably before that. Conservative readers of certain, you know, of right-wing or more conservative media knew Comey before that because they knew Comey as the man who was investigating Hillary Clinton's damn emails. Conservatives hated James Comey. They did not like him at all. Not one little bit. Because they believed that from the very, very jump, he was giving Hillary Clinton too generous of a shot. Specifically, the limits on the warrant that they got to investigate the servers and the laptops of Hillary Clinton's aides were something that members of the FBI specifically, and this is me totally speculating, I'm reading tea leaves, there's a little bit that I do know that I'm going to share with you guys right now, but this is not it. This is just me kind of trying to Kremlinology a lot of this. The New York office of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, which, by the way, has its own reality show on TNT now, was not happy with James Comey and felt that he was playing politics with that specific investigation. Specifically, that he was looking out for number one. If Hillary Clinton is going to be the next president, exactly how much do you want to dig deep into whatever this email investigation was? Now, here's what I do know. Thankfully, doing this podcast, I have gotten to know casually a lot of you who are listening and viewing this right now. Many of you write me emails, and many come from all sorts of different stripes of life, which I am very excited about because I don't think that there's a lot of political podcasts that have side-by-side people who are absolutely hardcore, dyed-in-the-wool, MAGA, Trump-trained conservatives, and people who are pussy hat wearing, gay as folk liberals. I don't think that happens a lot, and I'm happy that we can join on this very weird peninsula of the political media. Thank you. But among them are some people in the federal government. Some people are from the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And they have told me, this is their opinion, right, off the record, that James Comey was not, amongst at least the people that talked to me, I'm not saying that they were everybody, right, but at least the people that talked to me, that there was an element of the FBI that was very upset with him. They were upset with how that Clinton investigation was handled. They were so upset that they started to leak information late into the campaign to try to combat what they looked at as his pussyfooting around the issue. And when you look at the infamous Comey letter that came out a month before Election Day, the argument there is that this was not a letter that he decided to send out because he thought it was going to be great. This was a letter that he sent out in lieu of the fact that that information was going to get leaked no matter what. Now remember what the key part of that letter was about. They had found a laptop that had emails that may or may not have been pertinent to that investigation and that they now had to reopen it. Whose laptop was that? Anthony Weiner. Where is Anthony Weiner? In New York City. Where is the bureau office that is most upset with James Comey? New York City. All I see is Pepe Silva. Pepe Silva. I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but I don't think that that's exactly a long leap to make, okay? So, where do we go from here? Well, let's focus on the fact that James Comey is hated by just about everybody. In fact, when James Comey initially tried to split the baby on the email investigation, he came out and said that no prosecutor could, in good conscience, bring charges with the evidence that they had unearthed. People inside the FBI would say, yeah, well, because you hamstrung the investigation, so we couldn't find the evidence. You allowed people to destroy their laptops, and so therefore we could not pin down the way that we would like who did what and when they did it. But here's how Comey tried to split the baby. He said, Clinton, you're off. But also, here are a bunch of things that you shouldn't have done. And so now I am going to try to make everybody upset by letting Clinton go and giving Donald Trump and the Republicans a playbook to say, yeah, but even the director of the FBI said there was some dirt that she shouldn't have done. As you can imagine, this pissed off everybody. I mean, you don't have to imagine it. You lived through it. 2016 election. It's the greatest year of my life. So Comey is fired now. But the funniest thing about it is that if Donald Trump had done this within the first 2 weeks of him coming into office, he would have been looked at as a magnanimous leader. He had the opportunity, the political opportunity to walk in and say, guess what? We didn't like the way that Comey handled that investigation. Democrats sure as hell didn't like the way that Comey handled that investigation. He has become radioactive. He is not somebody that can now be a fair and open arbiter of justice. We are hearing that he has rank and file problems with some of his subordinates. We just think it's in the best service of the country for him to leave his post. And if that had happened within a week of him coming in, I think that the conversation around this would have been different. Because an element of this Comey kerfuffle, with apologies to Kevin Durant, I will use the word kerfuffle, is that it's seemingly out of nowhere. Comey survived. It seemed as if maybe conservatives were kind of into the fact that Comey dropped this, I won't use threw a stick of dynamite in like Sarah Huckabee Sanders did earlier today, but rather threw a plugged-in toaster in the bathtub to the waning days of that election. And by the way, we're going to do our Shattered book review next week. So finish up Shattered, the book about the Hillary Clinton campaign. The Campaign Chaos Book Club becomes official next week. We're going to do our Shattered special episode. Remember this about the Comey letter. When Hillary Clinton was on her private plane getting pictures taken of her by Annie Leibovitz, the famous photographer, the one who takes all the historical photos, right? She was getting her picture taken by her, and Clinton's campaign director, Robbie Mook, was all up in the ears of some reporters saying, hey, guys, we got some news for you. And I would imagine that Robbie Mook is doing this in a full jean jacket with denim pants, like 80s style, and he's got his hair kind of like, in a Zach Morris sort of coif. He's drinking a diet Tab with a slightly longer than normal bendy straw. I don't know exactly how he's gotten a hammock onto the plane, but he's in a hammock. And he summons a few of the ink-stained wretches over to his little corner of the plane and says, "Hey guys, I got some news for you. Hillary is going to be going to Arizona. Because if we are to open up a time tunnel and go back to that moment in history, the biggest question was not will Hillary Clinton win, but of course she will. Not will Donald Trump be looked at as an embarrassment, but of course he will. But can Hillary Clinton forever change the math of presidential elections in the favor of the Democrats by exploiting the fact that Donald Trump was such a uniquely toxic candidate that she could make inroads into the bedrock of the GOP's electoral map? Arizona was in play. That's why we're heading there, darling, said Robbie Mook that I invented in my own head. Texas was a possibility. They were talking about legacy when James Comey put out that letter. And man, hashtag life comes at you fast, because ain't nothing was the same as soon as that happened. So you got conservatives that hate James Comey because he pussyfooted the Hillary Clinton investigation. You've got liberals who hate James Comey because they view, and there is a statistical argument, go ask Nate Silver, a statistical argument that that letter cost Hillary Clinton the election, that flaws and all, warts and all, the star maker, Hillary Clinton, could have still walked into Election Day and won should that one bolt of lightning not emerged from the darkened sky. So Donald Trump wins, and I think that there's a way that you could either lean on Comey to resign or just, steady beat the drum, find reasons for Democratic Congress people to talk about how much he botched the election because everybody was still sore about it. If he would have gotten out of there at that point, I think it would have been fine. Now, this is not insignificant because I'm going to play to the segment of our audience right now that always accuses me of being, well, too myopic. They are the element of our audience for which believes that there is no simple move to be made by Donald Trump, lest a foolhardy, not well thought out, rash move. No. The Donald is the purveyor of a very specific kind of table game, and it is indeed 4D chess. So remember the idea, if you are coming along with me for my hypothesis, that James Comey getting fired within a week of Donald Trump taking office would have been better for everybody, but certainly better received than him getting fired right now. Remember that. Because I even think that it would have been better for people that believe that Donald Trump actively colluded with Russia. I think that you could have said, hey, Comey couldn't be trusted with handling that Clinton email thing. Why would he be trusted to handle this president's thing? He didn't want to embarrass the last president. Why would he want to embarrass this president? You could make a liberal argument to say, let's just get him out. Let's just get somebody else in. Remember that, though. Because we're here now. This is not 101 days ago. This is May 10th. And on May 9th, he fired James Comey, and I think it would be safe to say that all poop broke out.
These were some of the facts here. President Trump fired James Comey as the director of the FBI. Trump said he acted on the recommendation of the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General. The reason given for Comey's firing was his handling of the Clinton email investigation. This was the letter that was sent to James Comey. We will read this in full for immediate release, May 9th, 2017, from the office of the press secretary in the White House. This is a statement from the press secretary. Oh wait, hold on, wait, no, we want the here we go. We want the Donald Trump letter from the White House, May 9th, 2017. Dear Director Comey, I have received the attached letter from the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General of the United States recommending your dismissal as the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I have accepted their recommendation, and you are hereby terminated and removed from office effective immediately. While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 occasions separately that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau. It is essential that we find a new leader for the FBI that restores public trust and confidence in the vital law enforcement mission. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Now, a lot of people are going to look at that second paragraph and say, wow, that's really, really weird. Certainly seems very Trumpian. It is him saying, hey, dog, I recognize that you did look out for me. Loyalty's very important, but I still got to can you. But anybody who is a fan of wrestling will understand that when you tell somebody that you wish them the best of luck in your future endeavors, that is literally the boilerplate that is corporate boilerplate. It's not unique to the WWE, but wrestling fans will all know it as the final sentence of every press release when they release somebody. So much so that wrestlers refer to their release from the WWE as getting future endeavored. And if you wonder whether or not Trump is familiar with the reference, then I direct you to the Battle of the Billionaires. Just go ahead in your Google machine, type out Battle of the Billionaires WrestleMania. Also, the fact that in his cabinet sits one Linda McMahon. So I think it's fairly sure. Oh, don't compare politics to pro wrestling, they said. It's below the dignity of discussing politics, they said. Guess who? Guess who? I've been on this. I love it. I love it, Marigo. Come follow me. I'm trying to do my best for you guys. It's corporate boilerplate. I'm not saying it's uniquely WWE. It made me laugh. Anybody else who watches wrestling, it'll make them laugh too. I do it for the culture. Let's continue to look here at some of the facts about this. All right, so number one, James Comey found out about this while talking to the FBI. JSC 315 in the chat, in the Twitch chat, says politics has become sport now. No. Politics was wrestling from way back when. Way back when. That's a story for another day. James Comey was in Los Angeles. He was talking to other FBI agents. There was a flutter around him as behind his speaking position, there were televisions that were running the crawl. Director James Comey has been fired. Director Comey looked behind him and began laughing. Oh, you pranksters. Oh, what a classic jape you guys just pulled on the Comb Master. Oh, man, that's a great one. He then had to be kind of rustled up into a room and be informed that he had indeed been fired. He was supposed to speak in public later that night. He did not. He wound up getting a motorcade to LAX so he could come back to DC to, you know, clean out his crap. I also want to point out something here. I'm very excited about this. This is my homie Eric Geller. Eric Geller works for Politico. He is a fantastic cybercrime reporter and security writer. He is a huge fan of Star Wars, which is where I met him. I believe I met him at a Star Wars celebration back in Orlando many, many years ago, not the recent one, and I've seen him a couple times since. He is always a friend and a good time, but I just want to razz him real quick. This was a tweet that he sent out on, when was this? March 5th, 2017, on my birthday. Comey is probably safer in his job than any other senior U.S. official. Even Trump wouldn't risk the spectacle of firing the FBI director. About that, Eric. About that. I had to needle him. And say that I was retweeting it just because it aged worse than Palpatine, which is an actual fact. That is something that is without a doubt totally true. So we listened before we started doing the show here to the non-Spicer press secretary. That is Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who did an admirable job. This is not, I mean, whether or not you agree or disagree with the Trump administration, I think it is universal to understand that this is that's a tough gig, right? You can't deny that's a hard gig to roll into. She did a good job, but her rationale is this: that Donald Trump had begun losing faith in Director Comey months ago. He has been on a secret fact-finding mission between now and then. He has found enough rank-and-file discord amongst the FBI, and at the recommendation of Jeff Sessions and the Assistant Attorney General, he decided to pull the trigger yesterday. So, let's go ahead and get into the elephant in the room. Or should it be a bear? Or maybe it's the Zangief in the room. Just big old Zangief with his back hair. All those Russian factory workers in 16-bit, like moving their arms up and down. That's what kind of room we're talking about, because you can't just leave Comey there, have Comey repeatedly say that there is indeed an investigation into collusion between elements of the Trump campaign and Russia, specifically about the hacking of the Democratic National Committee's emails and John Podesta's emails, that there might have been some coordination, specifically with actors including Michael Flynn, who was in the Trump administration until he wasn't, that allegedly President Barack Obama warned Donald Trump about bringing Flynn on because he knew about some of the unsavory connections between the two. And then within 48 hours, Comey's gone. Like, let's understand that all of these things can be true. If Donald Trump had done exactly this a week into his presidency, he might be looked at as a bridge builder. He does it now, and he's looked at like sub-Nixon. In fact, the Nixon library subtweeted him yesterday. The Nixon library, because all of a sudden everybody, and we've seen it here in the chat room, that Trump is speedrunning the Nixon administration. He's getting right in. Screw a second term. He's getting right into Watergate. The Nixon library said, fact, President Nixon never fired the director of the FBI. I believe he fired his attorney general on, what is it, Black Saturday? Is that what it's called? I don't know. The stink is undeniable. It's a bad optic look. It's just not good. Even if he is not doing it, it's beginning to look more and more to random people on the streets that maybe are not paying attention to politics as closely as they did during the election, that Donald Trump might be trying to avoid an investigation that would uncover unsavory elements. And the Democrats, fairly predictably, have jumped on this. Many congressional Democratic leaders came out yesterday evening and today and said that this case now requires a special prosecutor that cannot be fired by Donald Trump. That this is the biggest and boldest evidence thus far that Donald Trump is indeed trying to manipulate this investigation to avoid the revelation of any wrongdoing. Cud Begud in the Twitch chat says, don't forget the other news today that the U.S. Census director resigned. We can get into a whole gerrymandering thing. Correlation is not causation. That's all I'll say. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. We'll get to that in a second. We know this is true. So here we go. Yeah, thank you, Chimera96 here in the chat. Nixon ordered the Attorney General to fire the special prosecutor. The AG and the deputy refused and resigned. The Solicitor General was elevated and fired Cox and his staff. So, also, Silver Dragon 9793 says, do you do rants? I don't know. Do I? I've been speaking unbroken for 33 minutes. Maybe. I mean, if this isn't a rant, I don't know exactly what is. It's kind of the only point of the podcast. Take a deep breath, moving on. All right. We got the look at the Trump playbook based on the press availability earlier this afternoon, and this seems to be what it is. Donald Trump and the Trump administration is going to use the hypocrisy of Democratic Congress folks and liberal talking heads against them. He's going to say exactly what I said before, that if this had been done earlier in his administration, everybody would have cheered. And yet he does it now, and he's worse than Nixon. He's going to say he might, I don't even know. I mean, he might get on his Twitter account right now and just start retweeting any and everybody that he can find that has any kind of Q rating in the political sphere and say, hey, man, I was just following orders. You thought this dude brought about the end of democracy as we know it, and yet I'm the bad guy because I fired him. Meanwhile, on the right, the argument will be, hey, look, Comey did screw up that Clinton investigation. He did deserve to be fired for it. And Donald Trump ran on the platform of draining the swamp. The swamp equals career politicians that will put their job security ahead of the American people. And I can't think of any better example of that than somebody that deliberately hampered his investigation because callously he believed that it would be better for him to do it like that because he might have a better shot at keeping his job? Hell no. Hell no. That doesn't get to happen. He doesn't get to keep his job. He gets to get the hell out of here. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And all of this can be true. All of it can. If you're going to ask me, do I think that this is the first domino that falls, the significant domino that falls, that we will all remember where we were when this day happened because it was the beginning of the avalanche that eventually buried the Trump administration, that led him to resign in disgrace? I would say no. I don't think that this is that. I think that Comey was very uniquely unpopular to the point where ultimately this is just going to be about how much everybody hates Trump or how much everybody loves Trump, and that's not exactly new. You know, it's not like there were a lot of people on the left that were saying, I don't know, we should give him a chance. They got people out in the streets marching against him. You know, he's reviled by the left. So I don't think this really moves the needle there. And for the right, you know, aside from maybe a few moderates that are like, okay, I was hashtag Trump tolerant until like now. Now this just seems like unseemly. And also we're kind of getting into the territory that we really hated about the Clintons, where everything was a scandal and everything has a perfectly reasonable explanation. Just kind of tired of it. But then again, it might. I mean, this administration has been nothing but chock full of surprises. And we still don't know what's in that Russian investigation. I gotta guess. I think that Michael Flynn was too much of a nutsucker, that he didn't really realize what the rules of diplomacy were when it came to talking with Russian interests. I think that Russian actors indeed hacked those emails, and the talking points were coordinated with, but I don't think it was with Trump, and I think probably the people that were already involved in it, specifically Trump and Flynn and the campaign director that was fired before Bannon and Conway came in, that was probably the real, that was the conduit. And then that was it. So I don't think that there's a lot there, but there might be. Never know. I'll say this, though, for Comey. This might be kind of a blessing in disguise. Like, I think, number one, who really wants to be the director of the FBI during the Trump administration? I don't think so, Fred. And meanwhile, he's got Hillary Clinton out here in these streets saying, I would have won if not for James Comey. James Comey cost me the presidency. Like, she's using that dude's full name. So do you think he's ever going to have any kind of working relationship with Democrats or liberals ever again? Hell no. That dude was kind of boxed in anyway. I hope he goes out to the Adirondacks and he just gets wasted. I hope he's on a boogie board right now. I would love to see James Comey boogie boarding, and he's got like some of that zinc, like suntan lotion on his nose, and he's a really good boogie boarder too. Like he's definitely like he's just kind of like standing there, like he's not even like got his hands out to balance, like he just kind of comes in off the, like you just see him as like a dot on the horizon, and then all of a sudden he just kind of goes like the Silver Surfer. He's just like perfectly still, and he's James Comey, and he's wearing American flag swim trunks, and he's got a Big Johnson shirt. Remember the Big Johnson shirts? And it's like the little like Big Johnson guy, and he's like got a golf club, and it's like hit it strong, hit it long. And he comes right up to the beach, and he just skids up on the sand, and somebody off camera hands him a Corona, and then right in front it just says "Find your beach." There's James Comey, but the commercial doesn't stop. It just slowly lingers as James Comey, like it's a piece of bizarre video art, chugs not one, not two, not three, but 4 Coronas before vomiting on his feet. That's the kind of fun I would like to imagine that James Comey is having right now. Does nobody else remember Big Johnson shirts? Somebody put a link to Big Johnson shirts down there in the chat. I feel like that's something that very much could happen. All right, we got some bills to pay. I will be right back. Hey, y'all, it's me, the Ad Dragon, coming in with another couple hot deals in the station. First and foremost, y'all, if you want to support the show, you know that the only way to do it is to head on over to patreon.com/JURY. Well, hell, it's the best deal on the internet. After all, you get not only politics, but also The Jury Show, the one mic program where Justin Robert Young reads your emails. Oh, don't worry, James Comey. This one's 100% legal. That's a little political humor for y'all. Also, you go ahead and get early access to everything via every way that you could possibly listen. Well, head on down there and pay what you want at patreon.com/JURY. And buy The Contender, the game of presidential debate. That's Justin's card game where he can go ahead and make y'all a regular politician, arguing with each other about this, that, and the other. Well, every card is taken from a real presidential candidate quote. And if you want to get a free expansion, you can get on over to bit.ly/contendergame. Yeah, Contender Game is bit.ly/C contender G game is where you can sign up for the Contender mailing list. If you already have the base deck, you can win a free, goodness gracious, boogity bee, a free expansion. Just head on over there right now, y'all. bit.ly/C contender G game. Or if you just want to buy it, well, don't you just be a possum in a bush. Head on over to thecontender.us. But, I mean, hell, enough about me, the Ad Dragon. What do you say we just go ahead and get back to the show, y'all? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much to the to the Ad Dragon for helping out. It's been a little weird not reading my own ads, but I really do appreciate it. We got something else to talk about. It's not just James Comey. We have your emails a little bit later, but I did say that I didn't care if Donald Trump ripped James Comey's heart out like the Thuggy cult in Temple of Doom, that we were going to talk about the Korean presidential election. We do want to congratulate the winner of the Korean presidential election, and we are going to do it as the Koreans did on their television news last night. God, their television news is so much better than ours. Their television news is what our television news would be if I ran it. Here we go. This is 4 minutes. I don't know how much of this we're going to play, but this is some of the graphics that Korean news showed while the election was going on.
대선 게임 권좌를 찾아서
These are all
전쟁의 서막 승자는 아무도
Game of
모른다.
Thrones CGI graphics
문재인 후보 43.9% 예측 1위.
as they have superimposed the head of each of the
안철수 후보
candidates.
22.8% 예측 2위.
최대 전장에서 벌이는 진검승부 경기
문재인
Onto
후보
everybody's head. We'll skip around a little bit. I guess they
보수는
did this
누구의
for
손을 잡을 것인가?
all the various different provinces. Oh, I guess they were going around from all the different areas in Korea, so now they're up in the north.
누구도 독주는 없다. 강원
안철수 후보 22.2%, 문재인 후보 40.
자, 그 무게를 견뎌라. 전국
문재인 후보 41.4% 예측 1위. 홍준표 후보 예측 2위입니다.
네, 문재인 후보가 지금 국회의원회관에
There we go. Folks, this one is in the record books. We have a new president of South Korea. Let's see. Oh man, I don't know if we wound up getting it. We had to. Oh, here we go. Let's go ahead and play him in. Ladies and gentlemen, your new president of South Korea heading to the ring with his version of the cheer up song. It is the President Moon Jae-in. Oh, come on. Come on. Play it. For those of you who have not watched this show, not only the now winner, the now president-elect of South Korea copied this very popular K-pop song, his opponent did as well. They both made their own version of it. This was a 42% victory for Moon Jae-in over Yoo Soon-min. They both decided to cover Twice's song, Cheer Up. But it only held the magic for one of them. Hillary now wondering why she didn't just do a K-pop song. I'm going to miss this election. Man, we don't have any more foreign elections now, right? Like, we were covering the South Korean one. We were covering the French one. Now we got presidents in France. Presidents in South Korea. Where else we got one of these? We got the special election coming up in Georgia. But I don't know. Is there anybody else that's got an election? I got a fever, baby. I got a fever. And the only prescription is more elections. We got the UK one, but that's a foregone conclusion. Italy's is in 2018, but then we're gonna have our own congressional elections in 2018, which we can talk about that a little bit because it is the subject of our polling that we do. There is something in
Step up in this bitch like I'm the one your bitch like.
Presidential elections, or congressional elections rather,
And I be talking shit like
where one party loses a bunch of seats and the other one gets a bunch of
you wanna
seats.
see if it'll fit right. That's just the way.
Wait, what was that, Kanye? What do you call it when one person loses a lot of seats and the other party gains a lot of seats?
That's just the way.
Wait a minute. So you get a wave election where one party loses, right? And another party wins. Would you consider that something that you could see coming? That maybe that it would be something that you could predict, that you knew would happen? Kanye?
Waves don't die.
Waves don't lie. Well, how do we know? How do we know that a wave is coming or not in the 2018 congressional elections? I mean, it seems like a problem we can't solve. Maybe I don't know. He's got to think, man. We got to think. Gotta think. Clear our head. All right. You want to know what? Let's get a drink. You know, let's do more than a drink. You want to know what? We got to really clear the mechanism. When he say we just go ahead and head to a gentleman's club, right? Yeah. What do you say we do that? What do you say? Just me, you, the listener, the viewer, Kanye, Chris Brown. We all just get together. We try to figure this out by heading down for a May 10th blank congressional ballot.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Come on, dance.
That booty.
This is an economics YouGov generic congressional ballot, meaning that all those respondents from May 6th to May 9th, all 1,287 registered voters were only asked whether or not they would like to vote for a Democrat or a Republican in 2018, regardless of who they are. Coming to the stage first, with 35%, it is the sitting, reigning, defending party in control of the three houses of legislative and executive power, the Grand Old Party. With 35%, it's the Republicans.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
But flexing that big old donkey ass with a 5 percentage point lead with 40%. It is the opposition. The Democrats! So that is one way to tell. Nothing's ironclad, but it is one way to tell. There's a wave election coming. People are going to talk more and more about it. You're going to hear more about it over the next week, especially with the Trump-Comey stuff, that the Republican Party is going to pay the price in 2018. In fact, after the healthcare vote, Jesus, how fast does shit go that we didn't even talk about the healthcare vote in this episode. After the healthcare vote, the Democrats were cheering, na, 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 hey, 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 goodbye. because they believed that House Republicans had sealed their own fate by passing something that was very unpopular and that they would all pay the price for it in 2018. So we will see. We will see. But in the meantime, we can only remember it as Kanye tells it.
See if it'll fit right, that's just the way. Yeah. Waves don't die.
Let's go ahead and get into your emails. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com is where you can email us. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Amazing week of emails. So please keep it up. M. Riddick W. said, I was searching for Civil War era and themed songs for an upcoming event I'm doing, and I ran across a song to the tune of Rosin the Bow, or Rosin the Bow, as a later set of lyrics were titled. Given its popularity at the time, I think there was a fair chance that Rosin the Bow was a pop song. According to Wikipedia, several U.S. presidents' campaign songs were set to the tune of old Rosin the Bow, including William Henry Harrison, the hero of Tippecanoe, Henry Clay, Harry the Honest and True, and Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln and Liberty. There are too many terribly great appropriated songs to write them all out, but the books linked their reference section of Rosin the Bow's Wikipedia entry may have more choices, including nursery rhymes to start them early. So we were joking about how the Korean candidates were using K-pop songs. Apparently, man, we started this gangster shit. And this is the motherfucking thanks we get. M. Riddick W. was saying Abraham Lincoln was doing the pop song thing. That's amazing. Dave writes, here's my annoyance with Trump's this is hard comments versus other individuals who might say the same thing. Let me use a strained metaphor about long-distance running. Somebody says they're going to run a half marathon and that it looks easy. What is the big deal about finishing? They boast about how they have the best training while either mocking or ignoring actual people who have run those races. Before the race starts, they state, watch how great they will be doing it, starting the word, hey, check my time after 1 mile. It'll be amazing, believe me. Now, after 1 mile of 13, they are on the side of the road complaining how hard this is and not to judge them yet if you saw them. I would think that they deserve this, and maybe next time they'll learn and actually prepare. I don't think that we'll see this kind of humility from Trump. As far as I can tell, he hasn't shown in his public life the ability to say, I was wrong and I'll do things differently this time. To combine with another comment from Trump supporters, this snowflake can't handle a little feedback. Well, to be fair, I tend to believe that Trump is more likely to run a half marathon than he is to say that he was wrong about a lot of stuff. Chris writes in, your Patreon number was at 698, which was triggering me. I pushed you to 700. I feel better now. Thank you, sir. We got emails back on whether or not the word cock is something that I can call my wife. Adam wrote, you asked in the last episode if it was okay for people to call you cucks. Yes, it is okay. People get to say most whatever they want, and in your case, I know it's ironic/facetious. But when I see or hear cuck used as an invective, I think it's Bush League, thrown around by somebody more interested in arguing than agreements themselves. It's one of those words or phrases that instantly shuts down my willingness to engage in anything because I bet the other party is so far entrenched in their own views that it's not worth it. I feel similarly about labels from both sides of the aisle, snowflake, Nazi, libtard, fascist. Once those surface in a conversation, you know exactly where the rest of the discourse is going. I do find it interesting, though, that the branding that liberals give conservatives are based on historical political parties, while conservative-made monikers are a bit more original. Dare I say it, silly. Yeah, no, listen, I enjoy calling my wife a snowflake, Nazi, libtard, fascist cuck all the time. It's just hard, man. Cuck, how many times do new CK words come out? They're the best. Suck, fuck. Like, come on, cuck. Just great. It's great to say. It's really funny. We also, this is something I was proud of. We were talking about the Colbert how young we were. We were talking about whether or not Colbert was homophobic last week before Obamacare was punched in the nuts in the House and Donald Trump fired the FBI director. And I asked for gay listeners to write in and just tell me whether or not they found it homophobic. And holy shit, we got 4-quadrant gay. 4-quadrant gay. Normally 4-quadrant is young, old, male, female. But when it came to gay men, we got 4-quadrant. Young, old, small town, big city. It was great. Nick wrote in, I was watching _Donald as this plan to knock Colbert was forming. What interested me is the Trump supporters' misunderstanding of homophobia. Notwithstanding the overuse of the term fag on adjacently upvoted posts, what these Trump supporters were saying would seem reasonable at first glance. However, what Colbert was playing on is the statement often used as Company A and Company B are in bed together, showing a close and illicit relationship. The gender of the people in the statement is irrelevant, and sexuality plays no role. A lot of Trump supporters saw the joke Colbert had made and thought Colbert was insulting Trump by saying he was gay. However, this is a homophobic viewpoint and believing that something is wrong or bad with being gay. In reality, he was showing the close relationship between Putin and Trump and the submissive role Trump takes. Homosexuality had nothing to do with it. I experience homophobia on a daily basis, and this wasn't homophobia. Blair in West Hollywood writes, I'm a 52-year-old gay man. I laughed at what Colbert said about Trump being Putin's cock holster. It's no different than calling somebody a brown noser or implying that some guy is another person's bitch, straight, gay, or otherwise. It implies Trump will do anything he can to please Putin. Of course, it gets complicated. If Trump is a power bottom, is Putin allowed to touch the Donald's hair? But enough of this silliness. Have a better than good day. Christopher says, as a gay guy myself, liberal, and a fan of Colbert, I didn't think the joke was homophobic or meant to be a gay attack on Trump. I didn't think that it would be an issue people would have with it, though. Just thought it was the vulgarity of it until I saw the coverage of the monologue. Cock holster is a hilarious word, and pretty sure that other shows have used that word. I think Archer used it to shut your cock holster. I think the word could be used in a homophobic or derogatory manner, but that wasn't Colbert's intent as I saw it. And finally, Dave from Indiana. I don't want to speak for all gay men, but I know that I saw the cock holster Colbert line as not homophobic at all. Biggest reason being that he wasn't saying that it was wrong for Trump to blow Putin. In fact, Colbert is recommending that Trump is awful at his job and he should spend more of his time learning how to better blow Putin. To be homophobic, it would have to be seen as shut your mouth is better suited for being a cock holster for Putin, like some queer. So apparently if you add the like some queer, that's where things go awry. Again, we are giving away one free Contender expansion a week for people on our mailing list. Sign up now at bit.ly/Contender Games. Again, that is bit.ly/C Contender, G Games. And you can buy the game at thecontender.us. You can email us on the show at theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music, of course, provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. You can follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere you have social media, including Snapchat. Yell at me for my political opinions on Snapchat. Download the archive episodes of the show at bonerwars.com. Remember, folks, you are just the first listening to for the first time. Shattered special episode next week. Finish listening to it. Some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. Still more talk about politics. This is the only show that talks about all three.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.